Yep, you read that right. All 24 hours, and I'm here to talk about it as the sun blinds me. I watched the Rolex 24 through the night. Through many espressos, through a coffee, through snacks, through chips, through candy. I'm here to share my experience of this. First off, I want to leave a disclaimer. I don't think this is for the faint of heart by any means. I was absolutely tired and miserable on Sunday, but it was okay. It was worth it. Yeah, I wouldn't be the motorsport enthusiast if I didn't stay up to watch the Rolex 24. Starting off, the early portions of the race, fairly, okay. I was in the middle of the day, going into the nighttime. Loved seeing the cars race at night. That's actually one of my favorite parts about this race is that it races in the night for a good portion of the event. I love that. 13 hours of darkness. I think that's really cool. I love seeing the lights of the different cars, the different classes and divisions, and seeing these different cars like the Mustang light up with the logo on the side. I think it looks phenomenal, especially with the LED lights that all of these cars, or the majority of the cars, had. For the first 7 hours, it was all good. Nothing to worry about, watching another sporting event, essentially. 8 o'clock came around, ate some dinner. That refueled me a little bit. Went to go get some snacks during the race. Obviously had that on as well, so I wouldn't miss any action. Got some coffee, got some chips, got some snacks. My favorite candy, obviously some water, and I was ready to hunker down on the couch and watch the entire race. So that's exactly what I did. That was probably one of the only 2 breaks that I took outside of going and getting another coffee that next morning to make it through at about 9 o'clock. But let's back this up all the way to Saturday night. We are about 8 hours into the race, 8 or 9 hours in. It is about 9 or 10 o'clock. I was feeling fine. I didn't have my coffee yet. I wanted to wait till about the midway point, so till about 12 to 1 o'clock of the night to actually drink that so I could space it out. Up until that point, it was great. So about 12 o'clock, continued to watch. Got some work done while watching the race. Really cool to see everything. And then 1 o'clock came around, decided to have that first cup of coffee. Really was an espresso shop, but either way, thanks Starbucks for that. Either way, had that first espresso, and after that, I started to feel like, okay, I'm getting tired. Around 1 o'clock, that's when I really started to feel like I was getting pretty sleepy. So, got up occasionally, moved around, did a couple push-ups, wanted to get my body flowing and the blood flowing. So I sat back down, and 2 o'clock came around. Everything was good. 3 o'clock came around. And then 4 o'clock hit. And once 4 o'clock hit, I was like, okay, I know we're a couple hours away from the sun coming back up. Really cool to see that transition. And that's when I really started to feel tired. At that point, almost up for 24 hours straight. Even though I did have that coffee, I was still feeling exhausted. Finished off my 2 bag of chips that I had and really wanted to wait till the sun to come up before I had that second coffee. That's exactly what I did. 5 o'clock came around, 6 o'clock came around, and the sun just started to come up again. And had that coffee at about 6:30. Watching the race up until then was exciting to see. Seeing the transitions, lovely images, lovely shots there. And then the race started to unfold, and 9 o'clock came around, and I was wanting I needed something. I mean, I was awake, but because of the sunlight, obviously, but I needed something. So went to Starbucks again, got a venti pike place, which if you're not aware, those drinks have not even kidding, 400 milligrams of caffeine. It was absolutely wild. And yes, I drank that whole thing. While I went there, that actually is when the Corvette BMW situation happened, which I was not thrilled that I kind of missed, but I got the gist of it by watching it back and then speeding back up. And let me tell you, if you're 56 laps down or 50 laps down, if you're 10 laps down, and you basically block, I agree with the Corvette. I agree with them. I agree with the middle finger. Love to see it. Definitely much better than what Formula One you can do. You can't even say anything in Formula One. Either way, throughout the race, it was exciting to watch, and I really want to talk about after the race and how I felt, because I did not want to go to sleep right after the race. So I stayed up till about 9:30. Typically go to bed at 10, and let me tell you, that was probably that afternoon was probably the most tired afternoon I've ever felt. I literally was trying to do anything to stay awake. And was it worth it in the end? That's the big question. Was watching the Rolex 24 through the night worth it? I thought it was worth it because I got a lot of good notes on the race. I got to see all the action. The one critique I have is that throughout the middle portions of the race, they did switch to a radio broadcast style. And it almost felt like a Twitch stream because they were talking about fans and bringing different topics and calling out different users, I think on YouTube. So that was kind of an interesting style, but obviously the main broadcast came back on. But either way, would I recommend watching the Rolex 24 or any 24-hour race like Le Mans, which I plan to do, wholeheartedly? Yes, I recommend watching it. Now, do I recommend waking up at like 6 a.m. that morning of and waiting until, waiting for the race to start at 1:40 and watch until 1:40 the next day and not sleeping until the next night. No, I recommend sleeping in as much as you can because you're going to need that sleep, especially on the back end after the race. So I know the Rolex starts at about 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's either 10 o'clock Eastern or 10 o'clock Central. I can't remember. Either way, it's a morning to a morning, so you can sleep up right until the start of the race and then have that little bit of extra sleep there, especially with it being on a weekend. So yes, I recommend watching the Rolex 24 or any 24-hour endurance race from start to finish through the night.